of the meeting. Hey, so thanks for coming in our new space and getting off the Wi-Fi. So hey, we're up and running. Thank you. So without further ado, since we are starting just a tinge late, I will have Mark come up and talk about PHS current affairs. There we go.
Oh, okay. Thank you. All right, you guys, real quick, I'm going to do a little bit of a, yes, here it is, the driving the clutch again. Sorry, IT, I'm probably screwing this up. All right, real quick, I'm going to do a little bit of a state of the company, and I'd just like to say happy new fiscal year. We are 11 days into our new fiscal year. We had the best fiscal year or year of PHS existence last year. So I do want to thank everybody, each and every one of you, for all of your hard work and compassion and empathy for taking care of these patients that we manage in the home. So thank you. With having a great, fantastic year last year came with many challenges that we kind of became aware of over the last 12, 18 months. Just as a reminder, we did the Cures Act. We didn't do the Cures Act. The Cures Act came to us. I'm not going to get into all the details on that. I think you guys hopefully know a little bit about that from our last staff meeting. We continued to get pressure from our payers, our insurance companies, on reimbursement, on cutting reimbursement. Obviously, our costs don't go down, but our reimbursement wants to keep getting pushed down. So we have to continue to fight for proper reimbursement from our payers. So we just continue to fight those challenges. We got some new structure for our pharmaceutical reimbursement. They went from something that's called average wholesale price to average sale price, and that really made some kind of unfortunate drastic cuts in some of our pharmaceuticals. But again, we have to work diligently with our payers to explain who we are, what we do, why we do them, and the differences between us and your typical home care companies, your adult home care companies. We got news at the end of the session this summer that the state of Minnesota was going to bring in an RFP for incontinence bulk bidding. The state DHS just started to kind of get some feedback on how that will work out, or what we would suggest how it should work out, so they can then put out the RFP to the providers that want to try to get that bulk bidding. And we are going to continue to keep an eye on that, look at it. But incontinence for us for the last year was really good, and it was a really good product line. But it's something that may go away. We have to kind of keep up on top of what how the state wants to roll that out. So, and if we find that it benefit us, we will put in a bid for it. And then there's been other changes within the home care landscape. We've had some of our friends and competitors go out of business, and it's been unfortunate, but we as an organization here are very planful in what and why we do things that we do. So as the home care or just healthcare landscape changes all the time, and you guys have heard me say this before, we change along with it. We've had many challenges face us over the last 29 years, but we've always been able to overcome a lot of those challenges because we've got great people in great positions here. We've got, we're keeping our eyes peeled on the legislative front, on our federal front, our state front. We've got lobbyists, we've got Cameo and Susan and Leah, really making sure we're aware of these challenges that are facing us. So we've been very planful in a lot of these things that are coming at us, and we will continue to be planful for the things that we don't know about. Things that we've done that we're doing to, kind of help prepare us for things is, we're looking at our shipping process right now. Our standard shipping, we've done the Make It Make Sense campaign. We've got a lot of great ideas, and I know there's a lot of things that are underway. Some of these things are really big and huge, and so they take time. But these things are underway. Life of a delivery ticket, the to-do process. We continue to work with our payers and explain who we are and what we do. We're all even looking at value-based offerings and that sort of thing. Let me see here, where am I? We need to continue to be very smart about how we spend our money, because there's just things that we have to always prepare for. It's not that we're not going to spend money, it's just that we need to be really smart and diligent about where we spend our money. As you can see, this build out, it's going to cost a good amount of money. We're doing this for the future of this organization. It's not just for here, today, tomorrow, 5 years, but 20 years down the road. We want to take care of you guys. We want you guys to come to a place that you feel really good about. The environment, it's nice, it's fun, so we're trying to continue to attract really high talent like all of you out there. Hang on. I want you all to, I know we're going to do, and I know I'm over, I know we're going to be looking at our Make It Make Sense and our CQUIP process to continue to encourage that, really out-of-the-box thinking. I want you guys to continue to do that. Look at the efficiencies. Challenge the status quo. Look at what we can do better, faster, without harming patient care. Because if we can continue to do that, that just makes us even that stronger of an organization for the future. So if there's questions or any thoughts or concerns, you can certainly ask them now, although I'm already 2 or 3 minutes over my time. You can certainly, you know where I live over here. Come on down, shoot me an email, give me a call, text, whatever. You guys make this place fantastic, and I can't thank you enough for all of the hard work. We're making this place a center of excellence, a pediatric center of excellence, and you guys continue to be a part of how we do that. So that being said, thank you very much for all of your hard work, and here's to 2018 fiscal year.
Thank you, Mark, and I agree. Everyone out here, great talent pool. I think the best that I've ever worked with, so be proud of yourself, and thank you. All right, up next we have Joe, and he wore a blazer today, so he got the dress code memo. He's going to talk to us about 2017 wrap-up, and then our strategic plan for 18. So welcome up, Joe.
I didn't get that memo.
I didn't either. It was noticed, Mark, that you did not have your blazer on. Well, as Mark said, welcome to fiscal year 18. Here we are. I thought I would take a little bit of time to go through some of the accomplishments of fiscal year 17, as well as reiterate, like we talked about last time around, our focus areas for fiscal year 18 and kind of set some of the guideposts for the year coming. So bear with me when we get to the end. Plenty of time for questions, and would love to take them and talk a little bit about what we've got planned. Maybe. Where am I pointing, guys?
Here, Joe. You pointed up here at the projector. Try that.
Nope. Can you help me, Jody? Yep. All right. So fiscal year 17 in the books. We, as Mark said, we had a fantastic year. We had a 7% growth over fiscal year 16. That was 4% over budget, and that was with some of the headwinds that Mark was talking about. So congratulations. That puts us, puts us in a place to maintain our record of growing every single year the pediatric home service is in existence. So that's a pretty darn good track record. I don't think many companies could say that. From a stats perspective, 5,045 patients worked with PHS in fiscal year 17. It's an increase of about 400 patients. I used my presentation from last year to start this presentation. I kept that line the same. We grew about 400 patients over the year before as well, so that was consistent. We have 261 current active vent patients as of October 1st, and over 1,900 formula patients that we served during the year. That was over 200 more than last year. So formula continues to be just a crazy growth engine for us, which is awesome. All right, Jody. So fiscal year 17, about this time last year, I was talking about what are we going to do in 17. And you may remember these priorities. I know at least the management team has seen these priorities a number of times throughout the year. But this is what we were going to focus on. And I wanted to take a second to talk about how we advanced the ball, or didn't, for each one of our priorities that we were focusing on in fiscal year 17. So one of the things we wanted to do was expand the implementation of the care management model. One of the things we did was rebranded the patient dashboard. And we did make some advancement in the implementation of that, but we're continuing to evaluate that tool and considering it part of the EHR conversation as we go forward. We wanted to expand our understanding of product profitability. I feel like we've made a ton of progress in this area. It's a goal that will be evergreen. We'll always work on it. Finance has given management a ton of new tools to work with. We've incorporated into our contract negotiations throughout the year this year. And I would say we use profitability in pretty much every management decision-making process that we have right now. But like I said, that's something we will always work on. Established transitional model as a foundation for home care nursing. So there were two kind of main goals for this priority last year. One of them was to advance our length of stay for our nurses. We exceeded our goal on our length of stay for our nurses, and to take on 6 new patients. So we exceeded that goal as well with 9 new patients. And this is all while we were in the midst of developing a Medicare certified home care agency, which we are on the brink of having. I think everybody's aware we're waiting any day now for Joint Commission to come and survey us to be Medicare certified. Go ahead, Jody. Fiscal year 17 wrap-up continued, sorry. We wanted to jump into telemedicine and really, we talked about it for a while, but get moving on telemedicine, and we did it. We selected a platform ahead of schedule. We piloted the solution ahead of schedule. We started with RT high-tech patients. So we recognized that that wasn't the best way to do it, that at the end of the day, we were putting a lot of burden on patients that they didn't want to have. So we pivoted. We took some learnings and we decided that we were going to implement it in the RT patient world with lower tech folks, and it's underway, and we're expecting to be reaching hundreds of our patients in the coming months with our telemedicine solution. Also, working with the pharmacy, we did a lot of diligence on medication therapy management. Did I say that right? MTM. And are working on implementing that with our HCN patients, or a select group of our HCN patients right now. So rolling out 2 solutions through telemedicine right now. Convert current classroom education offerings to online. This one continues. In 17, we released 2 additional courses, and we saw a 200% increase in students using our online education resources. So fantastic growth there, and that we knew was a multi-year process going into the year. We wanted to enable online ordering for a broader audience. Jody, there is animation here if you want to click. Thanks. One of our goals was to hire Tom, and we did. We had 1 major release in the year, and we have 1 almost ready to go. This one will be the mobile-ready release for online ordering, which will be a boon for our users, and we expect a big uptake. I think that we saw about 5,500 orders processed, and I know in August, we saw over 600 orders processed through online ordering. So that continues to be a growing platform for us. 2 more. All right. Achieve perpetual inventory. You guys have seen this one before. We advanced this. A lot of the work here goes on in the life of a DT project. That continues to move along. We saw, specifically within the year, we saw a lot of changes made to the warehouse setup and biomed process that continue to advance our goal of perpetual inventory. On the current system that we have, we probably won't get there, but it's something that's being considered in the next generation EHR, which takes us to that last one. And we vetted a number of vendors for the EHR solution. And at this point, we're taking a bit of a step back, re-evaluating our priorities, especially in the face of the HHA implementation, and settling on an approach. So we made great progress in EHR. We just didn't get there. Going into the fiscal year 17 timeframe, we knew that would be multi-year as well. Okay, Jody, this one's very animated, so this will be a bear for you, sorry. So other fiscal year 17 stats. So 84,116 calls came in through the front desk. That's actually flat from last year, which to me means online ordering is doing its job because people aren't necessarily calling in. But if you break that down, you assume about a third to a half of those were fielded by Linda. That means the entire town of Roseville got awesomely blessed in fiscal year 17. Also, that amount of calls being flat, it left them time for the 1,000 or so Jimmy John's orders that they had to accept through the front desk. Go ahead, Jody. We had 151,000 claims submitted. I don't have any joke about this. I just think it's pretty awesome. It's 10% over fiscal year 17. The billing team is cranking. CS processed 210,000 total calls. We assume about 1,000 of those went to Jimmy John's. So for customers, it's about 209,000. Also, during that time, they also found time to crush about 235 creepy crawlies in their new workspace back there. 25,000 miles logged by outreach. So that's 2 people driving 25,000 miles. And they also achieved 0 speeding tickets and 0 parking tickets, which I think is pretty incredible. Nice work, ladies. Nearly 17,000 scripts filled in the pharmacy. It's a 12% growth rate over fiscal year 17. Now, Patrick told me that there's a contest going on to collect all of the paper clips that go along with the scripts that come out of there. So by the end of this month, you guys should have, 1,200 to 1,500 paper clips. So there you go. You got a lot of work to do. HR, this one I love. This is very important to all of us. HR processed 9,377 paychecks. Thank you. Let's keep that one going, please. Along the lines of HR, though, we also had 20 baby blankets sent out. So there were 18 direct babies, 2 grandbabies that got baby blankets this year. So keep on, keep it on. There you go. 386 food pump and 52 high-tech setups by RT. So if loosely, that's every single PHS employee could have a food pump if we needed one. Let's not do that. 17.5 million eyeballs on PHS through our media mention. So that one, what's 17.5 million, right? That's kind of an inaccessible number. So some more accessible stats. We had 980 slices of bacon grilled up for Ronald McDonald House families in the year through Sharing Care. But to offset that through Sharing Care, we also saved 189 lives through blood donations of PHS employees. So nice work, guys. 53,599 orders processed by the warehouse, 14% over fiscal year 17. Awesome volume, guys. Keep it up, guys and gals, excuse me. And facilities set up 630 meetings at PHS. So that's about 60 of those, we think, are CS potlucks that they threw for themselves. And then this one's my personal favorite. So 1,600 cookies baked and distributed to home care nurses. That's such a fun tradition that you guys have. And I think they all come out of Carletta's kitchen, if I'm not mistaken, right? Yeah, pretty amazing. So just a couple of fun stats, but fiscal year 17 is behind us. Fiscal year 18 is ahead of us, so welcome. So over the next couple of minutes, I'll talk about our priorities for fiscal year 18. Mark started to talk about some of the overarching themes on the next slide, Jody. And some of our focus areas for the year. So future relevancy. I think one of the core values of the company is innovation. And looking forward. So our goals are always focused on the future, but this year we really are kind of saying for our priorities, we're zeroing in on what's going to be important in the years to come. As Mark said, we're being as planful as we can and looking at that shifting landscape so that we're ready. The PCOE, or the Pediatric Center of Excellence, is one of the areas we're focusing on, and then the value-based product design being another. We're looking at new revenue streams. So I talked about the Medicare Certified Home Health Agency a little while ago. That's one. And then the PPEC that we talked about last time around, and we'll talk about again, is another new revenue stream. Efficiency. So process redesign, the new EHR, really looking at how can we do more through technology? How can we use our systems to be as efficient as possible, as well as, like through our Make It Make Sense campaign, how do we look at the stuff that we're doing and just figure out what we don't need to do anymore, or what we're doing that isn't important, and streamline our processes. Financial security measures. So the Cures Act is something that still has a bit of a question mark around it, and it is going to have a big impact on us. To be fiscally conservative, we're looking at a reserve fund so that we have cash flow to smooth through the potential impact of the Cures Act. And we're continuing to look at profit analysis. So the way that we look at profit really changes our decisions. So we're looking at, are we looking at it right? Which seems a little circular, but is pretty important. And then we're having cautious labor growth. So looking at efficiency, we're asking first, what can we do differently? And how can we use the people that we have, rather than looking at how can we bring on new people to do new stuff? And that'll be a theme throughout the year. We're looking to grow again. So we'll keep that going, right? I think this is 28 years that we're going to be at it. So it'll be a fantastic streak when I'm up here talking next year. We're looking to grow each one of the service lines except for HCN. We do see a continued shrinkage there. We've seen that over the past 3 years too, but in a planful way. So 7% increase in DME, 6% in IV, 40% in the home health agency, or the skilled nursing visits, and then mental health slated to grow 27%. That rolls up to about 6% at the top of the house. Our strategic priorities. So last time I was up here, we talked about what the heck's a WIG, what's a wildly important goal, and these are our two for this year. So establishing PHS as a pediatric center of excellence and creating a prescribed pediatric extended care facility. You guys are probably going to get sick of hearing about these, but this is where we're focused, and this is, at the end of the day, again, when you're thinking about where do you invest that 20% of your discretionary time, these are the things that we're saying are the most important things to focus on. So, next one, Jody. Establish PHS as a pediatric center of excellence. So we continue to make progress on this. I'm not going to drain the slide here, but a couple of things that are going on. We continue to make progress on that first one, so articulate the vision of the Pediatric Center of Excellence. So next time I'm up here, and probably before that, we'll be able to put out exactly what are we talking about as far as this vision is concerned. As we're developing that vision, we're also working on a lot of these other priorities. So the designation work continues. The value-based product design continues. Conversations about formal arrangements and expanded service offerings, continue. And advancing research on children with medical complexity is continuing. So all of those, we have work going on currently, and I would assume that many, if not all of you in the room, are involved in some way with these efforts. And the PPEC facility. So we've had great progress actually since the last time that I was up here with you guys. We've had the opportunity to talk to the Department of Health and the Department of Human Services about PPEC. They are extremely friendly and willing to help along these lines. And they seem to be excited about the solution, which is what we were hopeful for when we would go in to talk to these folks. They're not always the most exciting people to talk to. So it was fun to have meetings with each of those groups. We're also thinking through some of the kind of sticky areas that we haven't figured out yet, like food, transportation, and the interaction with the education system. So more to come on this, but we're moving along, and I think we're in great shape. Other key focus areas. So a lot of people, kind of as we go through the planning process, it's like, well, yeah, but we got to work on this, but we got to work on this, and we do. We have to work on other things beyond just those things that are focused on future relevance. And really, there's two key areas, so efficiency and sustainability. So reducing the shipping costs through targeted patient communication. So you guys are familiar with the conversations that we've been having around shipping changes. There'll be more conversation about that later today. We'll have continued progress on the Life of a DT project around perpetual inventory. And then the redesign of the to-do process is one of the major initiatives that came out of the Make It Make Sense suggestions from last year. Other things are going on, but they just didn't make it into the strategic priorities. The HHA implementation, the work that was done last year has put us in such great shape to implement. We know that's going to go smoothly. HCN transformation continues, so the movement towards the transitional model continues. EHR migration, we talked about that before. The Joint Commission survey, unfortunately, we're on the clock that they could come. I know Mel is painfully aware wherever she is. And then the facility build out. I mean, Mark talked about that. This is awesome. I mean, we switched this around. The new screen is fantastic, and the sound in here is only going to get better. This is my favorite space within the new build out personally. I know everybody has their own favorite, but that'll continue to be something that we're all focused on throughout the year. So that's 18. It's going to shape up to be a busy one, but I know we're equal to the task. I know you guys will get it done. We'll all get it done together. Thank you for your continued effort and hard work. So what questions do you have? Or clap. You can do that too. Either way. No? All right, Kelly's shooing me off, so no questions. Sorry.
All right. Thanks for summing up nicely, Joe, in those 20 minutes, but I think Todd has talked before about all the work that's gone on during the year and before, so just wanted to recognize everyone for that again and just highlight it in those 20 minutes, so thank you. All right, up next, we do have Todd to talk about staff meetings and some changes, so welcome up, Todd.
By the way, you can catch Joe's stand-up act just at the Comedy House down the street there. He is our stand-in comedian. So we do have a few changes. Go ahead, Jody, I guess you'll still need to...
Yeah, do me a favor, try playing it at the machine in the corner there, see if that works.
You gotta press it.
Well, you probably noticed some changes already in our staff meeting. So one of the biggest changes is that we're moving to a quarterly format, not only for our staff meetings, but also for events. So a couple of the minor things, like for example, today you didn't see or have people come up and make announcements. Those will just scroll on the screen before you come to the staff meeting. So as you're sitting and waiting, you can read those. Also the Sweet Pickle, that will be done through Thriven. So look for those posts as we continue that program. Also, our length of service awards. Because it's meeting quarterly, it'll be hard to try to coordinate when people are reaching those milestones at the staff meeting. So the only ones we'll be celebrating here will be the 25-year length of service. The other ones will be done at the department level.
25 or higher.
25 or higher, thank you. Yep. And so look for those in your department. So we'll still try to recognize those, but it'll be done more intimately in your own departments. Also, you'll notice the events that we've scheduled here. Hopefully, this is kind of a nice cadence and a mix of staff meetings, some of the larger events. We'll still have the popcorn and beverage cart coming through. We'll sprinkle in a few of those food trucks to still try to keep the flavor of what we like to do around here, and that's to have some fun. Now, you might notice that a couple of events didn't make the cut. So those, the ones that we ended up cutting here are the Trick or Treat open house, but I know it's coming up. So we're still encouraging people to dress up and have fun with that. Of course, like normal, usual guidelines, just make your costumes tasteful. We don't want anything, too risque or ghoulish, that kind of thing. We ended up cutting the Thanksgiving meal and St. Patty's Day. But kind of in its place, we're going to enhance some of the larger events. So we might infuse a little bit more like what we've done in the past to encourage some team building, really amp up the opportunities you have to mix with people that you wouldn't normally do. So look for these events. Once we get dates set, we'll put those out on the event calendar. and you guys will have access to that. I think that's, unless anybody has questions, that covers it.
Packer won the Super Bowl celebration party over there.
Well, that certainly will be, yeah. Right here in your own stadium, maybe. Whoa. Thank you.
I know, we can't end on that note. Yeah, we did win on Monday, right? Yay! Cool. Another important thing that has been left out of the quarterly staff meetings, I don't know if you mentioned it, is the joke. So I'm really sorry I don't have one prepared, but those will not be in the staff meetings going forward. I know you will all miss those. Yes, yeah. All right, thanks, Todd. Up next, we have Shao, and she's going to talk a little more about standard shipping.
When Mark was messing with us earlier, I was thinking, oh, darn, Dayne's so tall, I'm so short, how's this gonna work? So, I'll just speak here, maybe. First, I'm very sad, no more St. Patty's Day. What am I gonna do with my green blazer? I only wear it one time a year. But anyways, because I got 10 minutes here. I kind of want to just give everyone an update on standard shipping. And what that means. One of the first things we identified in standard shipping is nothing about PHS is standard. Everything we do is always above what standard would ever be for even this industry. So this is a group of PHS employees, 10 to 13 people throughout, that met over 6 months that really worked on trying to define what standard shipping is for this company, what the practices associated with that would be, and first, I want to really acknowledge those people who participated in this group. So if you guys could please stand up. I didn't tell them they were doing this. Where are they? So one of the things that came out of this group really was we went back and forth a lot. One of the reasons for needing to establish standard practices around our shipping is because as a company we've always met our patients' needs, provided values in ways that, you know, we're starting to see now may not be completely valuable or assuming value. And so how do we establish a way to be standard and to be able to be long-term stable? So here's just a little bit of update on how that works. Does this work now?
You can give it a try.
Which button am I pressing? Was that me or you?
It was me.
Just want to make sure I don't have to keep pressing. Okay, so as Mark mentioned earlier, one of the things standard shipping was really brought to light was to address kind of the landscape changes of healthcare. One of the things we run into all the time is reimbursements and cuts and how that impacts us. Now, looking at the operational function side of shipping, what can we do to provide some of that? And so really trying to be mindful and planful of how do we move forward and provide stability for PHS, and how do we work with our families to bring value to them and understanding how this works. One of the shipping policy updates that we've been able to identify is really to help work with you guys collaboratively to find value of how you can carry it forward. We really want everyone here at this organization to feel empowered and excited about the changes. Now, change is not easy. It's going to be challenging, so you should still be empowered and excited, but it is going to be very challenging, and we acknowledge that, we see that. And so, again, this is for long-term stability for our organization, but also to be able to continue to provide for all of our patients. And so I will let Dayne speak about the policy.
Yeah, Shao decided I was the one to bring down the bad news or the good news, depending on how we want to look at that.
Maybe?
Maybe.
Do you want me to hold it?
Everybody got a stool.
Okay. I got arm wrestles, I'll hold it. Okay. Okay, next
You want to go
slide.
ahead and slide? So what we were looking at is we crunched a whole bunch of numbers trying to figure out how much we've spent on shipping and what we can do to cut and how we can make this happen better and still provide the care that our families are expecting. So we wanted to look at how we can get them taken care of and still provide good service and actually maybe even improve their service, because realistically right now our shipping policy is non-existent and they're getting shipments every other day, and who wants to be putting away stuff? every other day and getting knocks on the door. So we actually want to help possibly improve it for them as well. With that said, our new policy is going to be that we're going to be allowing them to have 2 shipments per month that will get to them within 3 business days. And if that 3 business day window doesn't work for them, we still have options for them to come pick up always, and we have lock boxes that we can put out if they can't make it during business hours. With that, also said, we know that this is not all black and white. We have some gray zones, things that families can't predict, items that we don't have on our shelves, our non-stocks, our back orders and everything will not be counted against them. Product complaints, IV medications, all will be still exceptions to that because they're going to need them when they need them. They can't plan for equipment to break. We also know that when they come home, there is a whirlwind. Their life is now turned upside down with a new kid. We want to give them some time to establish a routine and get into a rhythm and figure out what kind of supplies they're going to be using and how much they're going to be using. So they'll have 3 months to kind of get into a rhythm and figure out what they're doing. On the 4th month going forward from that point, they will then be obligated to try to follow the policy of 2 shipments per month. With that said, we want to start this internally and get everyone on the same page because there's nothing more frustrating for the families than getting different answers from different people. So we want to make sure everyone is comfortable with this, and we will be going through and talking more in depth with each department because what pertains to me definitely does not pertain to everyone in this room. As Shao mentioned, we had 10 people, 11 people. Through lots of different departments. They'll be spearheading all the department meetings and kind of going through and double checking, making sure that we didn't miss anything and getting you guys tools and talking points on how to deal with the situations. We have 80 to 90% of our families that are already doing this 1 to 2% or 1 to 2 shipments a month. We want everyone to be on 1, but we understand 2 is a more feasible option. So we're not anticipating a whole lot of pushback on it, but we do want to be prepared for that other 10 to 20%. So with that said, what we're looking at here is kind of our timeline. We're going to be coming through all the departments over the next month here. We're going to start reaching out to everyone, all of our families in November through social media and shipping tips and everything else and putting it all out in the world. And so we want time to prepare everyone to answer all those questions. And we're not going to make them start immediately. We're going to give them a couple months to hear about it and kind of start making plans. But come January 1st, we will go live with this, and everyone should be at 1 to 2 months, or 1 to 2 shipments per month.
Okay, and just a little reiteration on the calendar, also the timeline. The period in which we're pushing out communication is really reaching out to our families and letting them know, hey, there's this policy that we're working with now, and that's new for you guys. We want you to be aware of it. It's coming out in different ways. During this period, we're going to also focus really on internally and making sure that every department has the resources and tools that they need. And by doing department assessment, it's really to help create tools that's valuable to your team. Like Dayne said, there are things he's going to say to customers that I wouldn't know what he's talking about, so I'm not going to speak those exact terms. We want it to come organically from you as you continue to build relationships with your families. And so this is a different communication tactics that we'll be using. We're going to be communicating with both families and nursing agencies. We will be using letters, emails, the pulse newsletters, the on-hold loop messages when people call into PHS, different social media platforms, and then the blog. Everything links back into this blog, which will house a lot of our resources. We already have a lot of resources regarding organization, efficiencies with shipping, with ordering. And so we'll link them back into this one blog that will kind of help them see all this information. From November through the end of December, with the push of messages out to families, that is the time. If a family initiates that conversation, the purpose of letting the policy be known now is that you're not taken back by saying, hey, how come I don't know about this policy? Now, we aren't going to proactively address families until January. So that really gives 2 months of getting the word out, letting families be aware of it. If they initiate the conversation, yes, have the conversation. But we aren't going to be actively pursuing some of these families until January. Any questions? We'll be meeting with your department specifically to really get candid feedback on what you guys need, what your obstacles are. If you were asked today, what does this mean? Would you be able to answer that? And what tools you'll need. Sweet.
has been done on that, so thank you for moving the needle forward on it. If you haven't kind of caught the drift, this is a lot about the new year and looking there, or the new fiscal year and wrapping up the old one. So to continue on that theme, Jennie's going to be talking about our new benefit year. So she's going to talk about open enrollment. Welcome up, Jennie. Yes, definitely the same theme. So I'm going to recap last year as well as go into what's new for 2018. Go ahead, Jody. Nope, that's okay. Sure. Okay, so I just want to go over, remind everybody of some history at PHS. So since 2011, there's been 1 year in 2014 that our employee costs increased. I wanted to give you a little bit of background as to what's happening in the market. Typically, we wrote down some stats here, that 35% of employers share the entire renewal 50-50 with their employees. Another 38% absorb a little bit more than half. Only 3% of employers absorb all of it. So I just really want to drive home the generosity that Mark and Susan have given us year over year, and that 7% has been minimal. So you might be wondering what's happening for 2018. Go ahead. Okay, so there is an increase in our insurance from Blue Cross. There was an increase. PHS is going to absorb 75% of that increase, and then 25% of the increase is being passed on to the employees. The total increase that equals for our employees is about a 4.8% increase to the premiums over your total medical, vision, and dental premiums. What I did is I reached out to about 36 employees and asked them what their preference was. You know, do they want it increased on their medical? Do they want it increased on their vision and their dental? The result was really our employees didn't have much of a preference as long as it was the cheapest option possible. So I took the opportunity to kind of right-size some of our benefits. Our vision and dental was much higher than the typical market for our employees, and our medical has always been about market. So I brought our vision and our dental to market and kept our medical at market. So these are the biweekly increases that employees will see depending on what benefits they take. So for employee only, the total will be $5 a paycheck, and that's pre-tax. So if you're interested in how taxes work, had your $5 been given to you without benefits, the government would have taken a third of that. So it's not a huge hit, hopefully, for everybody. Next. Just a quick reminder of who our providers are for 2018. As you can see down at the bottom, we are bringing in an additional new benefit for our employees, and I'll cover that a little bit more later. But we are continuing with Blue Cross, select account for our FSA and HRA. We have Delta Dental for our dental, iMed for our vision, and a reminder that that's contacts, glasses, and frames, and then Cigna for what we call the ancillary services. There are a couple changes with our Blue Cross plan. So in 2018, Blue Cross is moving any fully insured group, which is what we are, to a classic pharmacy network. And what that means is that CVS and Target will no longer be in network. So this will require some of you to change your pharmacy. There are a ton of other options. I'm excited actually to go to Hy-Vee because I think right now they're giving you $20 for changing your prescription. So hopefully that's a positive. But what I've heard the process is that you go to a new pharmacy, you give them your prescription, and then they typically do the work of transferring it from your old pharmacy. So hopefully it's not a lot of work, but if anybody has problems with that, I'm more than happy to help. And then if you want to know if your current pharmacy will be a network, you can check out the Blue Cross and then online.com website. For Cigna, our employer-provided disability, life, and accidental death and dismemberment will remain the same, and then we'll be adding in supplemental life and AD&D. So a little bit about this benefit. So as a reminder, PHS already provides you with a life insurance policy that's 1 times your annual salary at no cost to you. So this is an option for our employees to buy extra life insurance for themselves, their spouse, and their dependents.
So the maximum benefits is $300,000 for employee, half of that for spouse, and then $15,000 for children. You can elect as low as a $10,000 amount, and then it goes up in $10,000 increments after that. And then each year, you can add an additional $30,000 onto your employee benefits. So, for example, if this year I want $100,000 on myself, next year I can do $130,000. And then there'll obviously be more information going out to you about the details of this. But the rates, the rates will be dependent on the age of the member on January 1st of each year, as well as how much you want in total. I have a couple benefit reminders for everybody. So if you are enrolled in accidental injury, this is a reminder that you're eligible for a $75 check from Cigna. So if anybody on your accidental injury insurance went and got a physical exam, a preventative test, or the flu vaccine, there's a form on the UltiPro homepage that you can fill out and get a $75 check. If you were here and got a flu vaccine through the clinic when Walgreens was on site, I have a short version that I can send to you. And you just fill out the form and you can fax it or email it to Cigna. Also, a quick reminder for all the additional free benefits that Cigna offers. There are links to all these on the UltiPro homepage. One of the ones that I've taken advantage of is the will preparation. So I was able to complete a will for free through the Cigna website. Doctor on Demand, another free benefit. So you can call Doctor on Demand, do a video conference on your phone via an app, or you can do it via the website. It's a nice alternative to going to an urgent care or any other facility when maybe it's not as convenient. There is a Blue Cross retail center. It's in the Crossroads Mall between Joint Fabrics and Dick's Sporting Goods. Not sure if anybody has gone there yet, but you can talk to a Blue Cross expert face-to-face about claim issues as well as any benefit questions. They also have free classes. Shauna and I actually just went there and got CPR certified, so we're pretty excited about that. It's off our bucket list. Very nice facility. And vision care, so you keep driving home this. Your eye exams, getting your prescription is through Blue Cross. You're going to take your prescription and then go to an iMed provider. And that provider is where you're going to get your lenses, your contacts, your frames. So you typically can't go to one place and do both your eye exam and get your product. There's also a lot of online providers too. So open enrollment, it's coming. It's going to be Friday, November 11th through the 27th, and that Monday is the day, or the Monday after Thanksgiving. Election is mandatory. If you do not elect on UltiPro Open Enrollment, your benefits will stop. So just kind of emphasize that. Please elect. I will send out reminders, but please get in there and elect. Last year, we had people also update their beneficiaries, and this year, we're not going to have that part of the open enrollment, but if you need to update your beneficiaries, we can show you how to do that. And then one quick reminder too, 401k, that can be changed at any time via the Empower website. To get onto, sorry Jody, to get to the spot on UltiPro, you'd hover up or click on myself, open enrollment, and then there'll be a 2018 open enrollment session. There will also be open enrollment meetings on site on November 13th and the 16th. Morgan Planning Group, our benefit broker, will be here, as well as myself. And we'll be there to assist you finding a doctor, answering any of your benefit questions, as well as helping you enroll in UltiPro. We do have a limited supply of Chromebooks, so if you do have a laptop and you want help enrolling in UltiPro, you can bring that with. Otherwise, if you want to, I can always come to your desk and help you enroll. So next steps, I'll be sending out a plethora of emails, so make sure that you uncheck your filter that has my email going to trash. And then there'll be instructions and reminders. On the UltiPro homepage, there'll be tons of information, as well as if you do the click here for more information, then there's a whole other page of lots of info. Attend an optional open enrollment meeting, enroll in your benefits, and then contact me if you have any questions. And that's it. Thanks. All right, thanks
Thanks, Jenny, and thank you for absorbing the majority of that cost this year. And enroll. So even if nothing's changing, enroll, right, Jenny? All right. Okay, there's a plug, an additional one. All right, up next we have Shao again with the Satisfaction Survey 2017 recap and winners. So here we go.
I should have just stayed up here. Okay, you can go to the next slide. I just wanted to review a little bit about some of the major changes that we've made to our satisfaction survey this past year. This year we moved our survey to a third-party vendor. So before we used to run our reports, we would send out our surveys, we would do the reminders, we would pull all the data, and we do the analysis. We sent that to a third party to do those pieces. We used to survey by sending out postcards for families without emails and then to families who have emails. The postcards redirected families to our website to take a survey. And working with our third-party vendor, we identified that even through mail efforts, so our mixed mode method, we were only getting a 3% response rate from our families by redirecting them to a website to take a survey. So now we only survey our email patients, which we are now collecting more emails, so that's even better. One of the big things that we changed with our survey is that we are an assessment-based driven survey. So that means that a patient is only going to be getting a survey if it has been identified that they had been seen by a clinician in the last month prior to getting that survey. What we were doing before, we were surveying patients based on starter kit. So if you started in October, every year in October you got a survey. The challenges with that is when we're looking at capturing experiences and how they interact with our staff, they may not have seen somebody for 6 months if they're a lower tech patient. So it's really driven by, is there an assessment that's been completed? And through that, families identify who they think they're surveying on. So they may come on my report because they were seen by IV. They may take the survey and say that they thought they were being seen by respiratory. That really allows us to capture where they're targeting their responses to versus I'm assuming their responses is about a service line that they weren't actually talking about. Our new survey has 12 PHS overall questions with 6 questions per service line. So if a family selected all service lines, they would get a total of 50 questions. Our previous survey only had 10 questions, 3 of which open-ended. So any given combination results in different numbers of questions they would be getting. Something also that happened this year is we launched the HHA satisfaction survey with that population. We started that in June. We surveyed back to April patients, so we have April patients is when we started. Any questions? Okay. One of the big things we wanted to capture in this set of surveys was really capturing some of the experiences families were having. And so these are some of the questions that working through our third-party vendor identified that they were already using with some of their home care DME companies. And so these are some of the examples of some of the new questions that we have. At the very end, there is an M-file number. If you guys want to go read all the questions, you can go read all 50 questions on M-files. Okay. And then some results from this past year. As you can see here, we clearly with doing the assessment-based surveying, the number of patients, which is the green line, decreased. It's very purposeful who we're surveying versus just surveying everybody due to annual anniversaries. So being very purposeful of who we were surveying has also increased our response rate because they recently had interactions with PHS. Fiscal year 16 overall average response rate that we had here was 8.6%. This past year, which we're still waiting on our fourth quarter, we're sitting at 20.4%. So it's good and good. And then just sharing a little bit some of the comments that we got from our families. Oh, and then I missed on the other slide. 54% of our patients chose not to disclose. That was something that new that we offered this year, was not disclosing who you are, so you could be candid with your responses. That's very challenging in that we can't follow up and we'd like to, but it's more valuable for us to even have feedback from families who rather that we not know who they are, but at least hear what they're saying. So here's some comments. Yep, you can go. And are there any questions? Again, these are available on M-files, both the HHA and the PHS satisfaction. They're two separate satisfaction surveys. The HHA one really reflects what they're using in the CHAP survey, which is our home care agency surveys. Yeah? Go back to the comments, Jody. Okay. Okay, I think we're good.
Thanks, Shao. Great response rate, too. All right, so we just have a few anniversaries left, so settle in for just a bit longer. Welcome up Rick. He has an anniversary to share, so welcome up Rick.
Howdy. Let's see if I can, well, let's see if that does it. There we go. We're good. I knew you'd get to me eventually. All right, so Brian's 10-year anniversary. Don't look at him though, but he's sitting right back there. He doesn't want the attention. So Brian's been with us for a little over 10 years. We were both out of town at the CPR Plus Mediware Care 10 conference last time, so we get to celebrate him now. So Brian, personally, I think most of us know that he plays the guitar in a rock and roll band, and he's really darn good at it. In fact, there's a headshot, and even like looked at a touring plane for a while there too. He's even got his name on the plane. On the side, Brian works on electronics, and this is actually a guitar amplifier. Is it done now?
Yeah, it's done.
Rocking and rolling. And then family, there. And so before we start this video, Brian brought a lot with him into the IT department. He actually was originally a respiratory therapist, and then we stole him into the IT department. So he brought with him a lot of the culture of PHS, and really is a bedrock of what is in the IT department. He's very intuitive, and has a lot of diagnostic skills that are hard to find. So this is just a great example of how Brian provides that great customer service at PHS. We used to have a lot more downtime too in the IT department a few years ago.
Oh, Jesus, what's your paper, scissors, rock? Hi. What's wrong with it?
I'm not sure, but I think it's overheating.
All right, I'll be right over, thanks.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Hey,
Hi, Brian.
what's the matter?
I'm not really sure what's wrong with my computer.
Oh, yeah, your computer's not.
You know, I was watching that video earlier today, and it's from when we did Life of an IT like 4 or 5 years ago, and I thought to myself, like, we were a lot funnier back then. What happened to our group? Some of us grew beards. So Brian started back in 2007. Obviously, it's been a decade, but he was stolen by the help desk in 2011, and then he came over to the dark side in health information technology in 2014. So really, within the HIT group recently, he's been pivotal in the Delivery Plus implementation and support, our CPR Plus portal, the electronic signature, formerly Adobe EchoSign, now DocuSign, the that great autocorrect, the EHR project. Always gets me every time. So the enhanced evaluation of Care 10 and so much more. He's really our go-to guy for just digging in deep and looking at some of the projects, many projects that we have going on at PHS. So I just want to also share a few work pictures of the plethora that we were able to find. This is Brian's last day of getting in on the last day of 37th grade. Celebrating Plaid Day at PHS. I don't even know what that is. Bryan did a great Gene Hackman impersonation for some training in IT Appreciation Week we were doing a few years ago. And he likes donuts, I think. So, thanks, Bryan.
He always
Am I
was.
supposed to kiss you? Or?
No comment is needed there. So up next is Becki, so welcome her up.
All right, are we ready, Jody? Jean, along with Susan and Judy, are live streaming this meeting, so say hello to them. And my first presentation of the day is to celebrate Jean Stumpf's 10-year anniversary. She lives in New Mexico, about 1,400 miles away off the grid, as you can see from some of the pictures here. This is where her view is. She doesn't have a park and ride or a freeway to look at when she's working all day. She has some beautiful scenery, and we're lucky to have her. So, Jean came to PHS back in 2006 as an infusion nurse, and before PHS, she had worked in a lot of different roles as a nurse, but right before PHS, she was at Walgreens Option Care. And then by 2007, she became a supervisor of our infusion team and manager by 2009. In Judy's words, she's an overachiever and a free spirit who early on told us that she never stayed very long at any job. So this is a huge celebration of 10 years. We just had to get creative. She's holistic and extraordinarily skilled nurse with an eye for detail, a talent for writing, and a commitment to continuous learning, and she's also a talented drummer. When she told us she was buying land in New Mexico and planned to build her own house with her brother's help, we thought we lost her. Thankfully, we figured out a way to keep her tethered to us. So just a little bit more about Jean, the person. So 2014, she moved to, and I'm going to butcher this, Abiquiu, New Mexico, off the grid. She comes from a large family here in Minnesota and is very close with her sister Terry, brother-in-law Dave, and her nephews Galen and Colin. And she happens to be the coolest aunt ever. And I'll tell you why. So for one of the boys, when they graduated from high school, they got to pick anywhere that they wanted to go on a trip with her. And she took, I believe it was Galen, I think he's the oldest, to Paris. And they got to go see the scenes and experience Europe with his aunt. And so a cool experience for both of them. And then she was in Tanzania in 2004, which is where this photo came from, but it's very fitting because she's leaving for freaking Africa on the 16th and plans to be there for just over 2 weeks. She was able to plan that trip in just 3 days and is so excited to go, so we look forward to seeing photos that she has from that trip as well. So what in the world did Jean do for PHS from off the grid in New Mexico? She is a subject matter expert for our infusion nurses. She's also project managing all of our online education course development, and overall is a pretty amazing human being. Some adjectives about Jean, if you haven't had a chance to work with her, are that she is smart, she's a big picture thinker, she has eye for detail, multifaceted, calm, funny. She's a total day maker and a positive tone setter in any meeting. So I don't know how many of you have seen our meetings where we have her in Google Hangouts, but she can change the tone and the feel of a meeting and just has such a can-do attitude. So we really appreciate that about her managing these large projects for education. She's confident, non-judging, a straight shooter, and overall is very, very kind. So I found a few of these photos from Jean's Facebook page and a quote on there that is really beautiful and what she lives by. And then some final words from Susan and Judy, just that every once in a while when she's in town, they meet for a vodka martini with olive juice and ensure a lifelong connection. Congratulations to 10 years, Jean, and thank you for your amazing contributions to PHS. So this last photo, which came up initially, was one that she sent the team after she got her 10-year bonus check, and this is how she spent it on her new ride in Lake Abiquiu. All right, next, I have a big, huge years of service anniversary for Barb Lehn. Yay, Barb! I should say maybe as we're waiting for them to get settled, okay. Barb, it's harder to get pictures for her. She's got them on lockdown. Well, she's on Facebook a little bit, but yeah, a little bit harder to navigate for Barb here. So, yes, last month we celebrated 25 years of Barb being with Pediatric Home Service. So when she started, it was PHRS, and then now today at PHS. So you can go to the next slide, thank you. So a little bit about Barb as a person. She is from St. Paul, or lives in St. Paul downtown now. So for many years as she worked at PHS, she just lived a little commute away in Little Canada, and then just decided that she wanted to do some downtown living right off the river. So she got rid of a bunch of items she didn't need, downsized, and is able to live the downtown life, which I really admire about her, and making that move. And she is very involved with the Mississippi River National Recreation Area promotion, and so it's fitting that she lives on the river and is able to enjoy that type of work with her friends. The photo up on top, black and white, is one of the arches from out in Utah from one of her vacations there. I found that photo to help picture where Barb has been. She spent many years up in Duluth at the Bayfront Jazz Festival with friends from PHS, along with other friends from outside of our company. And then she also has her Pride and Joy granddaughter, Mila, who is the daughter of Barb's daughter, Anne. And so there's a few photos of Barb here at Sandy's retirement party, having some wine and getting silly with some RT friends, Margie and Mary. And then Grand Canyon, was it Grand Canyon Park tour this past year? Sedona, okay, very good. So now we're gonna throw back a little bit. So Barb is a respiratory therapist here, and she's also an asthma educator. She came to PHS in 1992, had a desk phone, a whiteboard, and several rolls of quarters for the payphone, and a map book. So for any of you young people that haven't been here and don't know what a map book is, this is pre-GPS. We all had books that we would have to buy frequently, and we would have the address, the house number, and the street, and would have to look up in the back of the book, try to find the page and the coordinates, and then go to it and try to navigate our way around. It was pure joy. And so Barb and many others did not only that type of navigation, but they did it without a mobile phone as well. So if they had any questions or follow-up to do with the office, they'd have to find a payphone, load it with quarters, and give a call back. So I don't know if you can imagine doing your work today without some of the technology that we have, but that's how the originals made it work here. For many years, Barb worked with Kay as asthma educators for PHS, and they, Barb is our resident cockroach dropping, bed bug, and mold guru. So if you have any questions about any of those riveting topics, Barb's your gal. And then Sandy shared a story that there was a summer where there was an agency, maybe HUD or City of Minneapolis, had a grant, and they realized that they had about 6 weeks left in the grant, and they had a lot of unused money, so they bought vacuum cleaners, mattress covers, Swiffers, and between Barb and Kay, they worked to distribute those items to families in need to help manage their child's asthma, in addition to the asthma education that they were doing. So Barb has done some really cool outreach in her time here at PHS that is a little different than the business that we have today. Let's see here. I think I'll go to the next slide then. So now I just want to say, I don't want to steal your thunder, Shao, but Barb is the original suit coat wearer of PHS. And it's funny today that she's not wearing one in the photo that I got of her, but that's Kay's retirement party there. But Barb, for as long as I can ever remember here, was always wearing a suit coat and always looks impeccably dressed as she's going and checking for cockroaches and mold and such. Some words from Susan and Judy, that Barb is a respiratory therapist and a beautiful soul who has been in home care for more than 30 years. She's an RT who has set up and managed patients needing DME, low-tech RT, high-tech RT. She's done STAR surveys. She's worked with adults, pediatrics, asthma, and then some. Barb's coworkers say that she's a great sports fan. It actually might have even come out as sports nut. They appreciate your candid responses and continued willingness to ask questions to seek understanding. Her students in the classroom appreciate the relaxed atmosphere that she creates, her thorough teaching and enthusiasm for the topics, and overall phenomenal instruction, as quoted by one of her class participants. She's done everything she's been asked with grace, talent, enthusiasm, and commitment, and we would not be where we are today without her tireless dedication and contribution to the home care segment of healthcare. So, in closing, go Gophers, and happy 25-year anniversary to Barb Lehn.
All right. Thank you, everybody, and that's a wrap.